Okay. Well, hello everybody. Welcome. I am Lisa Marie Barron, the proud NDP candidate running for re-election. And it's an exciting morning here. We're here on the traditional territories of the Nanaimo First Nations, and I want to thank the Nanaimo people for being the incredible stewards of this land since time immemorial. With that, I want to get to a very important person that's here today, from a Nanaimo resident who's going to share with us firsthand the ways that New Democrats fought for her while we were in Parliament. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Nanaimo resident Edie. Thank you.
Edie.
Hi everybody. I'm a senior Canadian, and in 2019 I found out that I had a blood infection in my tooth, and it ended up costing me $3,000, which I really didn't have. So I ended up putting it on my credit card to the tune of 21.5%. Anyway, that same year I spoke to Jagmeet. I think it was maybe this park that I met him in, and I told him about my experience. And he said that he would look into it because they were thinking of doing a national dental plan. And I was really shocked when I found out that he did deliver. I mean, he was a politician who actually listened to me and to what I needed. Me, just, a senior, just an ordinary citizen. And here he was listening to me, and him and the NDP team did something that actually helped me. And so I registered for the plan, and that was very seamless. I phoned up my dentist and said, "Are you registered?" The dentist said, "Yep." I made an appointment that day. Boom. A week later, I had my teeth cleaned, and I'm fine now.
Great story.
I can't thank the NDP, Lisa Marie, and Jagmeet enough. Thank you so much.
That's amazing. What a great story. That's so amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Edie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you, Edie.
This way.
Okay.
Do a side step. Thank you, Edie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Edie, for that story. I'd like to say that Edie is alone in the experiences that she just shared, but she is not. In the community, I hear from so many seniors, families, people in our communities who are just unable to access the dental care that they need and deserve until New Democrats were able to deliver dental care, and that has been life-changing for so many in our community. So I want to thank Edie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sharing her experience. I know it's not easy to stand up here and to be able to share how the dental care program has made a big difference in your life. So thank you for taking the time, Edie, for doing that and for sharing that with us. It is so evident to be so, first and foremost, people in Nanaimo, Ladysmith are worried about Trump's tariffs. They are worried about Pierre Poilievre making cuts to the programs and services that people rely on. But one thing that is sure, that whether it's dental care or pharmacare or $10 a day child care, New Democrats deliver. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
New Democrats stand up for people in our communities. We are not here for the ultra elite, the ultra rich, the corporate CEOs. We are here for people in our communities. We will continue to stand with people in our communities. We will continue to protect and defend the essential programs and services that people rely on. And so with that, it is such an incredible, great honor to once again, because we know that Jagmeet Singh loves to be here in Nanaimo. I'd like to welcome my friend and the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh.
Thank you, thank you. You can see why we need someone like Lisa Marie Barron, re-elected here in Nanaimo, Ladysmith. Awesome fighter. I want to start off, just if I could, just take a moment. There's some recent sad news, and I just want to take a moment to reflect on behalf of all New Democrats, the passing of Pope Francis. It's a significant loss for the Catholic community, and I want to share my condolences on behalf of all New Democrats. If I could just share a personal reflection on Pope Francis, I was at the apology that the Pope did in Alberta to the Indigenous communities. I want to acknowledge the Indigenous communities and their long advocacy to get that apology. And it was a very powerful moment for many of the leaders that I met, many of the community members who talked about how hearing that apology from the Pope made them feel like they were taking a step forward on their healing journey. Just being acknowledged in that way, recognizing that a harm had happened and that harm was being acknowledged really was powerful. And I think only someone like Pope Francis was able and capable of making that commitment and fulfilling that apology. So I want to acknowledge that. Today I want to talk about healthcare and how important it is. You just heard from Edie, and I want to thank Edie for sharing her story, a powerful story of how New Democrats work. I'm honored, Edie, that I was able to hear your story, and many folks like you who said, why is it that we are having so much problem with our health, our oral health, and it's not covered? Like, we can't afford to take care of our teeth, but when our teeth aren't healthy, our overall health isn't good. And so we fought hard and delivered on that. Healthcare is fundamental to who we are as Canadians and as New Democrats. And right now, with all the uncertainty of Donald Trump and the trade war and the threats to our country, people are worried and they're feeling really anxious. They're feeling a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen next. We saw that Trump had targeted our healthcare in the past. He targeted our cost of medication. In the previous negotiations, he wanted to change the way we set medication prices to allow American billionaires, pharmaceutical companies, to make more profits in Canada. And so we fought back against that, but we know he's got healthcare in his targets, specifically medication coverage. And so we fought hard to say our healthcare system needs to be improved. It needs to be expanded. Not only should it include dental care, but it should include medication coverage. So we fought for and delivered the first steps of national universal pharmacare. And so we are going to continue to fight to defend and expand it. But I just want to give you a quick contrast with the other parties. We know that Pierre Poilievre has made it very clear he doesn't think that people deserve pharmacare. He thinks it's a bad idea. He voted against it, and he would cut it. He voted against dental care, and he would cut that as well. He believes in cutting care for people. That's what he has said. You know what? I'm inspired to see more and more Canadians saying, you know what, that's bad for me, that's bad for my family, that's bad for this country. More and more Canadians are rejecting the cuts of Pierre Poilievre, and that's a good thing to see. But we're also seeing people looking at Mark Carney and saying, wait a second, Mark Carney is also talking a lot about cuts. In fact, his recent campaign, his pledge, his platform laid out $28 billion in cuts. $28 billion, he laid it out, he confirmed he is going to cut $28 billion. Now, folks are wondering, well, where are those cuts going to happen? He doesn't say specifically in the platform, but he has told us again and again through various interviews and through other outlets. He has said very clearly he's going to cut the operating budget. He's defined that the operating budget is healthcare transfers, transfers to individuals, and transfers to provinces. So he is telling us he's going to cut. He's going to cut healthcare. I think that's the worst thing to do right now at a time when we're facing so much anxiety and uncertainty. On top of that, he said he's not going to go forward with pharmacare. He's going to stop it in its tracks. He's not going to expand. I think that's the wrong thing to do. We know that Donald Trump is targeting our medication coverage. He's targeting the cost of medication. We've got to expand pharmacare. So my announcement today is New Democrats in the first year will fight to expand pharmacare to include essential medications. That's all the most prescribed medications in year one. Yes. In year one, we're going to get that done. We're going to fight hard to get those essential medications. Those are all the most commonly prescribed medications. We're going to get that covered in the first year, and we laid that out in our campaign promises, in our platform. We think that we've got to expand pharmacare. No one should have to worry about the cost of their medication. We've heard so many heartbreaking stories of seniors cutting their pills in half, skipping prescriptions, parents who look at the cost of the medication that they need for their kids and then look at their bills and say, what do I choose? What do I give up? That should not be a choice that anyone in this country makes. And so we're going to fight back and make sure we expand pharmacare with the ultimate goal of having a completely universal and public pharmacare for everyone in our country. Now, just recently, Mark Carney has released his plan on healthcare, and he's talked a lot about how he thinks healthcare is important. But that doesn't really add up with his plan to make massive cuts to healthcare. On top of that, another really worrying trend we've seen across the country is that more and more for-profit clinics are charging people cash. They're charging people they have to pay to get care. And that was the opposite of the vision of Tommy Douglas and a universal healthcare, that it shouldn't matter how much you earn. It shouldn't matter what your salary is or what your job is. Everyone should get the best quality care. And so the Liberals haven't really cracked down on for-profit care. And Mark Carney hasn't made it a commitment in his platform that he would tackle privatization or cash for care. We think that's a problem. We want to fight back and defend a public and universal health care for all. So, if you're out there and you're tuning in right now and you're wondering, what do I do in this election? I'm worried about Pierre Poilievre and those cuts. I'm worried about Mark Carney and the cuts that he's proposing. What do I do? Well, I'll tell you this. Re-elect your New Democrat MP. Vote for a New Democrat, and we're going to fight for you. You have the power. You have the power to vote for a New Democrat, to send them to Ottawa, and they're going to fight to defend the things that you care about. Defend our public universal health care. Fight to expand pharmacare. That's what you get with the New Democrat. You get a fighter who's on your side, and you need that in this time more than ever. Merci. Donc, d'abord, je veux commencer en parlant un peu du pape François. Au nom de tous les néo-démocrates, je veux partager nos condoléances pour la mort du pape. Pape François, si je peux prendre un moment, c'était quelqu'un qui a contribué au Canada avec l'excuse. J'étais là en Alberta quand la pape s'excusait pour le dommage perpétué contre la communauté autochtone. J'ai entendu les leaders dans la communauté et les membres, les invités de la communauté autochtone qui ont dit que c'était tellement puissant de voir cette excuse. Ça a aidé avec le processus de guérir et c'était un pas important dans la réconciliation. Donc je veux reconnaître le fait que c'est un pape comme Pape François qui aurait pu donner cette excuse. Donc on est tellement reconnaissant aujourd'hui. Merci. Et oui, aujourd'hui, on va parler de santé. Parce que les soins de santé sont primordiaux avec toute la chaos créée par Donald Trump, avec la menace sur notre économie, la menace sur notre pays. Les gens ont peur, les gens ont des inquiétudes, des anxiétés. Donc, dans tout ça, on a déjà vu que Donald Trump, dans le passé, a ciblé nos médicaments. Il a voulu changer le système dans lequel on fixe les prix pour les médicaments, pour aider les milliardaires aux États-Unis, les entreprises pharmaceutiques, de gagner plus de profits. Et on s'est battu et on a gagné, mais c'est encore une menace. Et c'est quoi la réponse des autres chefs? Pierre Poilievre propose des coupures massives en santé. Il a voté contre l'assurance médicaments, il a voté contre les soins dentaires, donc il veut le couper. C'est la mauvaise chose à faire. Et Mark Carney, malheureusement, aussi parle souvent des coupures. Il a confirmé des coupures dans son plateforme électorale. Il propose des coupures de 28 milliards de dollars. 28 milliards. Et il a dit dans le passé, ça avait été des coupures dans le budget d'opération. Et il a défini ça. Ça inclut les transferts en santé, les transferts aux individus. Il a aussi dit qu'il va arrêter d'accroître l'assurance médicaments. Donc, il va arrêter ça. Je pense que aussi, c'est les mauvaises choses à faire. Notre engagement aujourd'hui, c'est les néo-démocrates vont se battre pour accroître l'assurance médicaments pour inclure les médicaments essentiels dans la première année.
Oui.
C'est le temps d'investir davantage dans les gens et dans les systèmes comme ça. Et c'est exactement ce qu'on va faire. On va défendre notre système de santé contre les coupures. Donc, si vous avez peur des coupures conservatrices de Pierre Poilievre, si vous avez peur aussi que Mark Carney va aussi proposer des coupures, vous avez le pouvoir de voter pour les néo-démocrates, réélire des députés sortants néo-démocrates, élire plus de néo-démocrates pour défendre notre système de santé et arrêter ces coupures. Merci. Avec ça, je suis prêt pour vos questions. With that, I'm ready for your questions.
We're going to begin our question period. We'll take one question, one follow, une question et une question de suivi. First up, we have Julienne Lapointe, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Singh. François Blanchet a échangé son numéro de téléphone avec Mark Carney. Je me demande si vous l'avez fait également, échanger le numéro de téléphone avec Mark Carney. Est-ce que vous avez été en communication avec lui depuis le débat des chefs?
Non, j'ai vu cet échange, donc je peux confirmer que oui, c'est passé, parce que j'ai vu comment ça s'est passé. L'équipe de Mark Carney a essayé de contacter notre équipe. Ils ont demandé une rencontre. On a dit oui, on est ouvert à des conversations. Donc, s'il y a jamais une situation où on a besoin de communiquer, on peut le faire, on sait comment le faire.
Il n'est pas sur votre speed dial.
Non. No, we've not exchanged numbers. I actually saw when it happened at the debate with Mr. Blanchet and Mark Carney, so I can confirm that did indeed happen. But Mr. Carney, his team reached out to us to have a conversation. We've said, okay, we're open to that. If there's a need to have a conversation, they know how to find us, we know how to find them.
Comment vous voyez une éventuelle collaboration avec lui? Est-ce que vous croyez que ça peut être plus facile collaborer avec un gouvernement libéral sous Mark Carney que sous Justin Trudeau, par exemple, ne serait-ce que pour une question de changement?
Dans mon avis, je ne sais pas comment ça va être parce qu'on n'a pas vu, on n'a pas eu les discussions, on n'a pas eu des conversations, donc c'est difficile de dire. Mais je peux dire quelque chose qui est clair parce que c'est la preuve montrée par l'histoire. C'est le fait que la seule façon que les libéraux vont agir pour les gens, c'est avec les néo-démocrates. La seule façon qu'on va livrer la marchandise, c'est avec plus de néo-démocrates à Ottawa pour forcer le gouvernement d'agir. Parce que seulement dans notre histoire, la seule fois qu'on a vu des changements qui aident les gens, c'est quand les néo-démocrates ont forcé le gouvernement de les livrer.
Next, we have Rachel Aiello, CTV News.
Good morning. I just wanted to follow up on something I asked you about yesterday, because again today you're pointing out that with more New Democrats in the House of Commons, you would push for these things. But in a majority government situation, what leverage would the NDP have? What path would you have to actually make good on the promises you're making right now?
Well, what we can show is just how the history has worked. Because people voted for New Democrats in the past and sent Tommy Douglas to Ottawa, we were able to bring in universal health care. Because you voted for New Democrats in the past, we were able to bring in things like pensions and old age security. Because you used your power and voted for New Democrats and sent Lisa Marie Barron to Ottawa, we fought for dental care and delivered dental care, delivered pharmacare. So, yeah, that's what we do. And so all the greatest things in our country were delivered when people sent New Democrats to Ottawa. And so the only way these things are going to happen, like, it's just the facts of life. Like, it's Liberals are never going to act unless forced to. Pharmacare that we're talking about today, Liberals promised 30 years ago. For 3 decades, they didn't do anything until we forced them. So for folks out there wondering, I'm worried about stuff, I'm worried if anyone's going to fight for me, the only way you're guaranteed someone that's going to fight to get things that you want done is if you vote for a New Democrat. If you vote for New Democrats, we'll fight for you.
In a majority government, how?
We don't know what the outcome of this election is going to be, and folks are going to determine the outcome. That's the power of people. We're not going to presuppose the outcome of this election. But we know for sure that the more New Democrats you send to Ottawa, the more power people will have, and that you will have someone that's going to be there to fight for you. Fight to defend against the cuts that you don't want to see happen, and fight to see the action that you do want to see happen. That's only going to be possible if people use their power, if you use your power to send New Democrats to Ottawa.
Marina von Stackelberg with the CBC.
Hi there, Mr. Singh. You spent this weekend traveling to ridings that would normally be considered safe seats for the NDP, including your own riding. Is this a changing strategy to save the seats that you do have?
Well, most elections we've visited on the island. It's really important for me. I've done that, I think, on almost every election that I've been leader. We spend time in the Lower Mainland in every election that I've been leader. So these are important areas, important parts of our country, and we're going to spend time speaking with people that we know need someone fighting for them. And so if you're on the island and you're worried about how do I stop a conservative, vote New Democrat. New Democrats beat conservatives.
En français.
En français. C'est normal qu'on visite l'île Vancouver. Je pense que je le fais dans toutes les autres campagnes électorales quand j'étais chef. Et on visite souvent les banlieues de Vancouver. Ça, c'est aussi normal et c'est quelque chose d'important parce que ce sont les régions où on a des députés et c'est important de rappeler les gens, c'est nous les néo-démocrates qui défient les conservateurs, c'est nous qui vont continuer de défendre ce qui est cher à vous. Merci.
My follow-up question is for Lisa Marie Barron, if that's all right.
Very all right. Lisa Marie is a trained New Democrat.
So the last election race here with the Conservatives, it was a very tight race, not necessarily considered a safe seat here. Polling is suggesting that the Conservatives could take this seat. Are you worried that your seat is at risk?
Well, what we know to be true is last election, all the polls said that I was going to lose it. And then I knew, because I was out knocking on doors, which I'd like to point out I continued doing as a member of parliament, talking to people in the community, and it became very, very clear to me that there was a very good chance that I could win it. And sure enough, I did. I ended up winning last election. So this election, the same thing is happening. There are people in the communities there's tons of support out there. We just need everybody to get out to the polls to vote.
That's right.
And I can assure you that I beat the Conservatives last election. I can certainly do it again.
Here, here. Clip that and put that on social media there.
David Thurton, CBC.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Singh. Just wanted to follow up with a couple of things you said in your remarks. Maybe just coming back to the late Pope Francis.
Yes.
His legacy is quite divisive among so-called conservative Catholics, liberal Catholics. I mean, if you look at what he's spoken about, the need to act on climate change, having, more consideration for migrants. He's also maybe sparred with the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. How do you look at his legacy, and do you see Pope Francis more aligned with your values? Do you think he's a progressive?
Yeah, I think he's done a lot of things that were inspirational. I think the fact that he came to Canada and apologized for the harms done by the Catholic Church to the Indigenous communities was a really powerful example of his leadership as Pope, and it was something that from the community members that I met with and heard from was really powerful and really touching and meaningful in the path to healing and reconciliation. You mentioned some of the positions that he's taken that have inspired people around the world, compassion and caring to new Canadians or to immigrants or to migrants in general was a value that he expressed. I think that's a very powerful value and an important one that in this world where we're faced with a lot of I don't know, fear, a lot of worry, that kindness and compassion is really the powerful tool to build a better world. It's what New Democrats believe in. We think that's how we take better care of each other, is through compassion and through kindness and through caring. That's how we look out for our neighbors. That's how we weather a tough storm, and that's our values. And I think he's shared a lot of really powerful ideas that people have been inspired by. Je pense que les propos de Pape François étaient tellement inspirants. Il a parlé de l'importance de compassion, compassion envers les immigrants, les migrants. Il a parlé de l'importance de compassion en général. Et dans un monde plein d'incertitudes, plein de peur, je pense que c'est vraiment ça, la compassion, qui est l'outil le plus important pour faire face aux grands défis. C'est nos valeurs aussi, comme Parti néo-démocrate. On pense que profondément, on doit avoir la compassion face aux menaces. On doit prendre soin les uns des autres. Je pense que c'est aussi une valeur canadienne, cette idée de comment on gère les temps difficiles, c'est avec la compassion, avec cette volonté de prendre soin les uns des autres. On se serre les coudes. Cette idée de solidarité, c'est vraiment important pour nous, comme Parti néo-démocrate. Je pense que le pape François a vraiment partagé cet esprit, et c'est inspirant.
Not my follow-up, but just quickly, do you see him as a progressive?
I think that's the general consensus, yeah.
Okay, he's a progressive. Okay. I just wanted to follow up on something totally different that you said about Mark Carney's team reaching out to your team. When did that happen, and do you have a sense on what exactly they wanted to talk about?
This is recently after he became Prime Minister, and I think my team can give you more details about it, but they reached out to set up it was on their request to set up a meeting when he first became Prime Minister. I don't think it panned out, but they reached out, and my team can give you more details about it.
Next, we have Ian Holmes with Nanaimo News Now.
Hello, Mr. Singh. My question is about an election that focuses a lot on Mr. Carney and Mr. Poilievre. It's sort of a leader's election, and you appear to be, in the eyes of Canadians, sort of falling behind in that regard. What kind of struggle does that make in terms of trying to maintain your hold here on Vancouver Island with six sitting MPs? And your image right now, how could that negatively impact Lisa Marie here in a very tight election in a unique four-way race here in Nanaimo Ladysmith?
Well, we've seen after the debate a lot of Canadians saying, yeah, you know what, the only ones that stood up for the things that I care about were New Democrats. The only ones that talked about healthcare. The only ones that brought up healthcare were New Democrats. You know, the only ones who really cared about the things that we hold dear as Canadians. If you think about what Canadians are proud of, you ask Canadians, what are you proud of? Why don't we want to be the 51st state? We reject that. We want to be Canadian. What is it, that value that represents that? People will tell you right away, well, in Canada, you get health care. In America, if you get sick, you go bankrupt. In Canada, you get sick, you get health care. That's one of the first things people talk about. I was the only one on that stage that was fighting with passion to defend our health care against cuts, to defend the things that we care about. And we've seen after that debate, a lot of Canadians saying, you know what, yeah, that's actually what we need right now. We need someone that's going to fight for us. So really the question in this election for a lot of folks out there, who is going to fight for the things that you care about, the things that you hold dear? Who's going to defend those things? Who's going to fight back against cuts to what you care about? And if folks care about healthcare and keeping it public, keeping it universal, we're the only ones fighting back. If you care about expanding pharmacare because you think it makes sense that our healthcare system should also include medication coverage, New Democrats are the only ones that are going to fight to expand it. So for the things that people care about, it's us.
And just a quick follow-up. You talked a lot about healthcare here today. Mr. Singh, what do you see as the primary issue here in Nanaimo Ladysmith in this election?
I think cost of living is one issue that really comes up everywhere I go. Here in Nanaimo Ladysmith and across Canada, really a lot of people are saying, how do I afford everything? Like the cost of groceries are so high, the cost of home is so expensive, rent and mortgage, and then healthcare I think ties in with that. I would say those are the top three issues that I hear from people. Having those three things sorted would really make people's lives better. And on those points, again, with the cost of homes, we're the only ones talking about banning big corporations from buying up affordable homes. We're the only ones talking about We're the only ones saying we got to put a price cap on food essentials so the big corporate grocery stores can stop ripping us off. We know that they are ripping us off, and there's lots of examples of it. We're the only ones willing to fight that back. So for the things that people really care about, New Democrats are your choice.
Next, we have Mick Sweetman with the Discourse Nanaimo.
Hello, Mr. Singh.
Hi there.
The federal government previously granted British Columbia an exemption on the criminalization of drug use in this province. Obviously, that was rolled back some. But my question to you is this something that you would be open to pursuing in the future with provincial governments, and how do you think it could be done better?
Okay, I really appreciate the question. I would, first of all, we're talking about what this really is about is an opioid overdose crisis where we're seeing so many of our fellow Canadians die. Like, this is about people in our communities losing their lives. And for me, I can't talk about this topic without thinking about Moms Stop the Harm, a group that I met of moms who've lost their children, their daughters and their sons to this crisis. These are our neighbors, these are our family members, these are our friends, these are our loved ones that are dying. And so to respond to this death and to this loss, for me, the first step is compassion. These are people that we need to care about, we need to treat with love and dignity and respect. And people need health care as a solution, first and foremost. So I want to see people get rehabilitation services. I want people get mental health services. People get homes. People need housing. These are the starting points of how we can deal with this crisis. And from Moms Stop the Harm, the moms that lost their kids, they're saying, do everything you can to keep people alive. Because if they're alive, that's the only way they have a fighting chance to beat this addiction. And so I really believe in that. I really fundamentally believe in that. And then I should add the last piece that I think, also fundamentally important is we got to get this toxic stuff off our streets, out of our communities. Oh, absolutely. Right, we got to get it out of there. And for New Democrats, we're really focused on saving lives before the loss happens. You'll hear other parties talk about punishment after the fact. Of course, there's got to be severe penalties for folks that peddle in these illegal drugs and these painful and horrible substances. But our plan is to stop this from happening before it happens, and to do that, we need to strengthen our borders. A lot of the illegal drugs, the fentanyl, the opioids that come into our country come in across the border. And if the drugs don't come in, the ingredients to make them come in across the border. So the stronger our borders are, the more border security officers we have, we can prevent those materials from coming into the country in the first place. Now, the Conservatives cut border security massively when they were in power. And the Liberals haven't really made this the same priority. For us, we got to strengthen our borders with border officers so that we can stop the pain before it happens.
Thank you. I also want to ask Lisa Marie Barron, as well as her opponent Paul Manley, have both been endorsed by the Vote for Palestine campaign. I'm just curious, if there was a civilian effort to deliver aid such as the boats to Gaza in 2012 that former NDP MP Jim Manley participated in, would you support that today?
We are the only party that has taken a really strong stance on condemning the violence and the atrocity, the heartbreaking loss of life that we've seen in Gaza as a genocide, because that's what it is, sadly. We're the only party that's saying really clearly that Palestinians have the right to peace and security just as much as Israelis have the right to peace and security. We believe in that, and we're going to fight to continue to be the voice that supports that. So we support humanitarian efforts. We want to see UNRWA funded so that people on the ground in Gaza can get help, can get food, can get medication. So we will continue to be the voice in Parliament that's championing peace and justice and human rights.
We'll move to a question on Zoom.
Questions on Zoom. Wow.
Yeah, we'll start with Dylan Robertson from the Canadian Press. I'll come also with Dylan Robertson to Canadian Press.
Thanks for taking our questions, Mr. Singh.
Of course.
Yesterday, you would not say whether you support strategic voting, and your candidate, Peter Julian, is now asking people who would normally vote Liberal or Green to, quote, consider lending me your vote. Are you comfortable with your candidates promoting strategic voting?
Well, I actually said something different. I said people should be absolutely thinking about their vote. And if you want to stop Conservatives, the best way to stop Conservatives on Vancouver Island is by voting New Democrat. Absolutely. And one of the best ways, if you're worried about Conservatives getting in, one of the best ways to guarantee that you stop that is by re-electing your New Democrat MP. So absolutely. So yeah, I think I want people to be very thoughtful about the way they vote. And in a lot of cases, the thoughtful vote to stop the Conservatives, to get someone that's going to fight for you, someone that's going to stop the cuts against our health care, is to vote for New Democrats. So yes, vote New Democrat.
And Mr. Singh, your other candidate, Matthew Green, says that strategic voting is an argument that elections don't matter and that it, quote, diminishes our entire democratic institutions of elections. Do you agree with him, and what is your thinking on that view?
Well, what I've said is, and I repeat, is that this election is about a very important choice. And I want to make that choice really clear to folks. For a lot of folks, they're worried about Conservatives getting in. And for those folks, re-electing your New Democrat MP is a great way to stop that from happening. On Vancouver Island, if you're worried about Conservatives, New Democrats are the best way to defeat a Conservative. Now, another really important way for people to vote is based on your values. If you believe in universal health care and you want to fight like hell to defend it, then vote for a New Democrat. We're the only ones that are going to defend it. If you want to see pharmacare expanded, well, Mark Carney has already told us he's not going to expand it. He has not made that commitment. It's not in his budget. It's not in his platform. He's not accounted for it. We have. So if you want to see pharmacare expanded, vote for a New Democrat. If you want to see corporations banned from buying up affordable homes, if you want to see price caps on food essentials, vote for New Democrats.
This concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Merci. Yeah.